So, hello everyone. As we mentioned before that in this class we are going to talk about past continuous. راح نحكي عن ال past continuous اللي هو الماضي المستمر. بالفيديوهات اللي قبل حكينا عن زمنين مختلفات اللي هما ال past simple وال present perfect وحكينا انهم مرتبطات باشياء حدثت بالماضي. ال past continuous is the same thing، كمان اشي حدث بالماضي but in progressive، بمعنى انه مستمر بالماضي. Which mean when we was talking about past simple لما حكينا أول شغلة عن ال past simple, if we want to draw the timeline, so this is the timeline, we are here in the present, إحنا هيا هون بالمضارع, and the action happened here in a specific point in the past، حدث بنقطة معينة في الماضي, so that we call it past simple. مشان هيك بنحكي له ماضي بسيط. طيب شو الفرق ما بينه وبين ال past continuous؟ إنه ال past continuous لو أنا بدي أرسم ال timeline past continuous, if you want to draw the timeline هي timeline and here we are in the present، إحنا هنا بالمضارع هون. So it happened also in the past but in a progressive point in the past، بنقطة مستمرة بالماضي. So it doesn't stop، ما وقف، هو ظل الحدث شغال لكن شغال متى بالماضي. زي لما أحكي she was singing، هي كانت بتغني. He was drawing. She was taking a shower. They were eating، هم كانوا بأكلوا، هو كان بأخذ شاور، هي كانت بتغني، وما إلى ذلك من هاي الأفعال. طيب شو الفور إذا since it happened in the past and it's in a progressive situation، بحالة مستمرة. So how to form the sentence for this tense? Let's talk about the form. I mean the affirmative form. We have to start with the subject, and since we are talking about past continuous, so we will have singular subject and plural subject. So singular subject, as we mentioned before, she, he, it, but we have to add here I, and here we will have they, we, you, and if we have a noun, I mean a plural noun or a singular noun, اسم مفرد أو اسم جمع. Okay, if I see a singular subject like he, she, it, I, or a singular noun, we will give it was. So we say I was, she was, it was, he was. While if we see they, we, you, we will give them were to say they were, we were, and you were. So after was and were, these two verbs, two helping verbs from the family of the verbs to be, so in the past form, so they have to be followed by verb ing. So whenever I have was and were, I have to add to the verb ing. But if we want to add ing, is there a specific rules that we have to follow? في قواعد محددة أنا لازم أتبعها? Surely yes, because the first one and the most important one, if we want to add ing to any verb, we have to use the base form. معناها أنا لازم أرجع الفعل لأصله لشكله الأساسي، بعدين بزيد عليه زيادات since إنه الفعل ما بتحمل أكثر من زيادة واحدة. So if I have an s on the verb, then I have to remove the s and then I add ing. If I have an ed, then I will have to remove the ed, then to add ing. So we say she was singing at the bathroom. At the bathroom. Or we can say they were playing in the garden. So notice here that she, we will treat it and give it was, then was has to be followed by ing, verb with ing. Also the same for they. They take were, and were must be followed by a verb with ing, so it's playing. So this is the affirmative form، الشكل المثبت، هاي الجملة العادية. Now how to make this sentence negative? Do I have to use verbs to do, verbs to be, or what? Actually I have to use the same helping verb that I used them here. So instead of saying was and were, we will use was not and were not. So we will add not to the helping verbs to become, in the negative form, he, she, and it Also I will take was not instead of was. They, we, and you, they have to take were not instead of were. Is there any change on the main verb؟ في أي تغيير راح يصير على الفعل الرئيسي؟ Surely no, because also they have to be followed by a verb ing in the negative form. حتى بالنفي لازم يكونوا متبوعات بفعل معه ing. So wasn't, weren't, then the verb ing. Let's negate these two sentences. خلينا ننفي هذول الجملتين. She was singing at the bathroom. We have to say she was not singing at the bathroom. هي ما كانت بتغني. Also they were playing in the garden. We have to say they were not playing in the garden. ما كانوا بيلعبوا بالحديقة. In the garden. So this is the affirmative form and the negative form. These are the main two forms that we will work on them. Also, we will have the question form. يكون عندنا شكل question اللي هو شكل السؤال. How to form the question form? I mean how to form it. We will use has and was and were also in the question form. Now let's divide them into two parts. The first part will be the short question, or what do we call it, yes or no question, and here we will have WH word question, or what we can call it also long question. In the short question or the yes or no question, we will start the question using was and were, and we will not omit any part of the sentence. مش راح أمسح أو أحذف ولا جزء من الجملة أو ولا جزء من السؤال. So I'm gonna start with was and were, then the subject, and the verb must be ing, and the object, and the main part, which is the question mark, علامة السؤال. Notice here, who will decide was or were? Surely the subject will decide if we use was or were. Then the verb ing. ولازم يكون الفعل معه ing. If we want to ask about these two sentences, I mean she was singing at the bathroom, we will ask was she singing at the bathroom? Singing at the bathroom. Whether to say yes, she was, or no, she wasn't. Okay, this is with was. Let's see with were. Were they playing in the garden or at the garden? Both of them are acceptable. Okay, we have to say yes, they were, no, they were not. These are the two options for the answer. Okay, what about the WH word? طب شو بالنسبة لل WH word? I just have to add WH word in the beginning of the question and delete the part that I'm going to ask about it. معناها أنا بدي أحط WH word بالبداية وأحذف الجزء اللي بدي أسأل عنه بالنهاية. طيب كيف حاعمل الإشي هذا؟ We have to start with the WH word, then was or were, then the subject, then also the verb with ing, and the question mark. I deleted the object أنا مسحت الobject to indicate that there is a part of the sentence which will be omitted. إنه في جزء من الجملة حيكون محذوف. طيب خلينا نعمل مثلا سؤال هون. I'm gonna ask about the place. أنا راح أسأل عن المكان اللي كانت هي بتغني فيه مثلا. So I will use where. معناها أداة السؤال اللي حستخدمها هي where. Then after this was or were. So I'm asking about she. So she is singular. So I'm gonna use was. Where was. Then the subject is she. And the verb is singing. So singing. Where was she singing? فالجواب بيكون at the bathroom. وين هي كانت بتغني؟ بالباثروم. Okay, what about the plural form or using were in the question? Let's also ask about the place here. I mean the same WH word, we are going to use it in the second sentence, which is where. So where, but since we are talking about they, we will use were instead of was. So the first were is a type of WH word, but the second were is a type of helping verb or auxiliary verbs that we have to use them to indicate the time or to mark the tense. So where were they playing? We can say at the garden or in the garden. Both of them are acceptable. Okay, is this the main idea of the past continuous? معقول إنه هاي هي الفكرة من past continuous إنه I'm just going to put was and were then the verb ing? Surely no. So what's the main idea is when we are talking about the past continuous. لما أنا بحكي عن past continuous I'm talking about two events. معناها أنا بحكي عن حدثين. Two events. حدثين. طيب إيش مالهم هذول الحدثين؟ One of them interrupt the second one. الحدث الأول قطع الحدث الثاني. So while the first one is happening in this period of time, the second one interrupted. الحدث الثاني قطعه. So we have two events. معناها أنا عندي حدثين. Since that I have two events, I will use two keywords, which they are when and while. While معناها بينما وwhen معناها عندما. So how to use them? كيف أنا بدي أستخدمهم? When it comes at the beginning of the sentence and it also comes in the middle of the sentence. If it comes at the beginning of the sentence, I have to separate these two events using a comma in the middle. إذا أنا إجت when ببداية الجملة أنا لازم أستخدم فاصلة بوسط الجملة لحتى أفصل الحدثين. When in the middle there is no use for a comma. No need for a comma. ما راح أحتاج comma إذا إجت when بالنص. طيب okay, let's arrange and order these two events. خلينا نرتب هالحدثين. When it has to be followed by past simple. لازم تنتبع past simple ماضي بسيط. And it has to be preceded by past continuous. Okay, is there any change if when comes at the beginning of the sentence? Surely no. So when also have to be followed by past simple and preceded by past continuous. So that's great. Let's make a sentence, okay? So, she math when her father. So the first blank we have study. The second one we have come. Let's see, what's the key word here? Just a second. Okay, yes. What's the key word here? Actually it's when. الكلمة المفتاحية هون هي when. طيب okay, when have to be followed by past simple preceded by past continuous. What does this mean? She will take was or were. شو بعطي الشي was ولا were? Yes, surely I'm gonna give it was. And the verb study will become studying. So she was studying math when her father, so past simple and the verb come, it will become came. So she was studying math كانت بتدرس رياضيات when her father came لما جاء والدها. So two events. The first one which is she was studying كانت بتدرس. The event that interrupted at finished in the same point قطعها وتم بنفس الوقت اللي هو دخول والدها ومقاطعته لحدث الدراسة. So she was studying when her father came. Okay, this is about when. Now what about while or how to use while? كيف حستخدم while? While is a little bit the opposite of when. هي تقريبا عكس when in the order of the tenses بترتيب الأزمنة. What does this mean or how to make it clear? While also come at the beginning of the sentence or in the middle. So here in the middle, here in the beginning. If I use it in the middle, I have to divide the two actions or events using a comma in the middle. So while, the first event, comma, the second event. If it comes in the middle, so there is no need to a comma. While has to be preceded by a past simple and followed by past continuous. Also the same is here. While has to be followed by past continuous, and here we will have past simple. Okay, let's make, I'm gonna give you two sentences and you have to join them using while. Let's see. She was driving to work or to her work. She saw Ahmed. So, how we are gonna arrange these two sentences? This is the first one and this is also the second one. So we are going to use while, okay? Let's agree that we are going to put it in the first time at the beginning, in the second time, in the middle. So when we put it at the beginning, we will use the sentence that has past continuous. So which one of these indicate past continuous? Is it was driving or so? Yes, excellent, was driving. So while she was driving, بينما كانت تقود to her work إلى عملها, she saw Ahmed. That's great. So is there any mistake in this sentence? في أي خطأ بالجملة هاي? Think about it. Take 30 seconds, stop the video or pause it to see what's the mistake in the sentence. Actually, yes, the mistake is that when we use while at the beginning of the sentence, in the middle between the two actions, we have to use comma. So I forgot to put the comma in order to see if you are focusing with me or not. عشان أتأكد إنكم مركزين. Okay, now how to use while in the middle of the sentence? Also, it has to be followed by past continuous. So as we said, this sentence indicates the past continuous. So while she was driving to her work, while she was driving to her work, بينما كانت تقود إلى عملها. What's the sentence that has to come before while? It's she saw Ahmed. She saw Ahmed. هي شافت أحمد بينما كانت تقود إلى عملها. Which one of these two events is the longest one? مين الأطول من الحدثين هذول? Surely the one with the past continuous. اللي معه ال past continuous هو الحدث الأطول. Okay, is this a rule that we always have to follow? هل هي قاعدة إنه أنا لازم وين ما أشوف when تتبع ب verb to تسبق ب was أو verb ing والوايل العكس؟ Surely no. طبعا لا. Because sometimes we have to know this from the length of the action or the length of the event itself. لازم نعرف هالإشي من طول الحدث. طيب كيف يعني؟ If I have two events مثلا, let's consider that I have two events. خلينا نفرض إنه أنا عندي حدثين اللي هو she was driving to work. أحمد was sleeping. أحمد كان نايم وهي بتقود لعملها. These two events, هذول الحدثين طوال, and we cannot consider which one of them will give it past simple and which one we will give it past continuous. So we will use while as we have these two sentences like she was driving to work. هي كانت تقود إلى العمل. She was driving to work. While بينما أحمد was sleeping. Notice here that I did not follow the rule. أنا ما تبعت القاعدة هون. أنا هون past continuous وكمان هون past continuous. رغم إني إيش استخدمت while. So it's not a rule. There is some exceptions in some cases, but you have to know it. لازم تكونوا عارفين هالحكي. So in this tense we talked about the past continuous. حكينا عن الماضي المستمر. We talked about the use or when do we use it. We talked about the affirmative form, the negative form. We also talked about the question form, and the last thing we talked about the two keywords and how to use them. الكلمتين المفتاحيات اللي لما أشوفهم بعرف إنه أنا بحكي عن past continuous ومتى بستخدمهم أو كيف بستخدمهم. How to use them and when to use them. So this was all the things about the past continuous. كانت هاي كل الأشياء عن ال past continuous اللي هو الماضي المستمر.